So here we have an experiment question about the insulation around a beaker of hot water. You've been given a plan. So these are the details. The student's going to use 5 beakers of the same size. So the same size, there's going to be some kind of control variable. I will wrap each beaker with a different number of layers of the same type of insulation. So she is changing the number of layers, which means that the number of layers is her independent variable. She will then pour 300 centimetres cubed of boiling water into each beaker. So 300 centimetres cubed is going to be a controlled variable, and wait until the temperature of the water falls to 85 degrees C. So 85 degrees C is also going to be a control variable because she's going to do that same temperature every time. I will then start a timer and record the final temperature of the water after 15 minutes. So she's going to use 15 minutes every single time. That's going to be a controlled variable, and she is measuring the final temperature of the water. So that's going to be the dependent variable, final temperature of the water. So we've answered those 2 questions as we talked through. The independent variable is going to be different number of layers, and the dependent variable is the final temperature of the water. Okay, so we've been given some results here. The table shows the student's results. Complete the table by calculating the final temperatures. First one's been done for you. So if she's starting at 85 degrees, as it says up here, and you've been given the temperature difference, then that means that you can work out the final temperature. So if you do 85 degrees, which is your starting temperature, take away the temperature difference, I'm just doing this for the number of insulation, number of layers 0, then that will give you, that gives 43, which is the answer there. So if you do that for each one, you should end up with the answers 47, 50, 50, and 50. Okay. So drawing a bar chart. Now we're going to choose a bar chart. This isn't a question, but we're choosing a bar chart because the number of layers of insulation is a discrete variable. You can only have a whole number of layers of insulation. You can't have half a layer of insulation. So that's why it's a bar chart rather than a line graph or a scattergram. So we want to have the independent variable on the bottom. So number of layers on the bottom here. And then you want to have be careful, your temperature difference on here. So you don't want to put your ending temperature, your final temperature, you need your temperature difference. You obviously don't have a unit for the one on the bottom because it's just a number, but your temperature difference is in degrees C, so you need to have that on that side. And then you are going to draw a very nice, neat bar chart, much better than mine. So something that looks a bit like this. I'm drawing this with my finger, so yours should definitely be better. So your first bar here should be at 42 degrees. 42 degrees, and then 38, 35, 35, 35. So what you notice is that it decreases a little bit, the temperature difference, but then it plateaus. It doesn't change really much after that, which then leads into this question. So describe the relationship between the numbers of layers of insulation and the temperature difference. So it's looking for 2 marks. So essentially, if you increase the number of layers from 0 to 2, then you get a decrease in the temperature difference. It loses less heat. But then adding extra layers after that, having 3 layers, 4 layers, that doesn't then make any difference at all. So it wants both of those points. So an initial decrease as you add extra layers, but then no change when you add 3 layers, 4 layers, and presumably so on. Suggest how the student could improve the reliability of her results. So for reliability, the first thing that you should think of, and it's only for 1 mark, is as soon as you see the word reliability, you should think repeats. Okay, repeats and average. So it's not a particularly reliable experiment because she's only done each independent variable value once. So always go for the answer, repeats and average.